Thank you for staying with us. The federal government of Nigeria has commenced the distribution of 2,000 compressed natural gas-powered tricycles to Nigerian youths as part of its effort to promote entrepreneurship, job creation, and environmental sustainability. Now, this initiative, aimed at reducing the nation's dependence on fossil fuel, is expected to encourage the adoption of eco-friendly transportation alternatives. The CNG-powered tricycle offer a cleaner, cost-effective, and efficient mode of transportation.
This initiative is to assure Nigerian youths that President Tinubu's administration will create an enabling environment for the youths. The Ministry of Youth Development reaffirmed the President's desire to fulfill his campaign promises.
This intervention will serve as a great relief to our people, demonstrating the administration's dedication to improving the quality of life for young people.
A decent life that is going to affect everybody positively. And what is our major problem? Our major problem is unemployment. And how can we have unemployment to be cleared off? Is to create an environment, and that is what the president is doing. Investors are coming in, but the hardship is because there are some decisions that he needs to make now so that he's going to have a better future for this country.
We are now handing over, we are fulfilling the promise the president made this time last year. If you go back to his speech on October 1, 2023, he mentioned that we're going to be deploying a number of CNG powered tricycles. And so this is the first that we're delivering.
We have projects to the glory of God and to the usefulness of the youth of Nigeria. Congratulations.
The beneficiaries on their part commended the federal government for these developments.
Initiative that is coming, I believe that each family, that if he gets this thing, not only him and children will go to school, he can take care of his family, and he can take care of everybody. Also, we can encourage government to bring more orders, even buses, cars, and whatever, because the country is very hard now. The level of the fuel price is too high, so nobody can afford it to buy. So
this initiative intends to take youths off the streets, and this initiative will be replicated across the country.
Believes with this initiative in place, the administration will gradually tackle the issues of unemployment among youths in the informal sector. Maria Mohammed, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, joining us in the studio to talk about this is the MD CEO of Exitum Consulting Limited, Adeyemi Ajayi. Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you.
Now, when we talk about youth unemployment, it has been a major concern for majority of persons, especially because of that age bracket when you talk about 13 to 35 years or even 40 years, and that there are implications about that, especially the fact that these are persons who should be gainfully employed for a country. But then we have a situation on our hands, and some persons have said it ranges between 34 to 40%, if my statistics is right. But with steps taking, this is not the first time government is, talking about taking steps to addressing that. We have seen several funds put in place, social measures that government have put in place, but now we are coming through the CNG-powered tricycles and every other thing that government is trying to do. How far do you think, or how far-reaching are these measures by government?
Thank you very much. I do not think this is making any sense, sorry that I'm using that word, in terms of reaching the youth. This initiative, very good, I would say, but painfully, if we look at the economic value it's going to add to the country, I don't think it's that significant. So going back to how far reaching this is, distributing 2,000 units of CNG powered tricycles to the youth. If you go and look at some of these beneficiaries, they are probably not audience that actually need this. You know, maybe they're just people that for political reasons you want to bring them on the map so that
you don't have facts you don't have data.
I'm just assuming that's the usual thing.
Assumption doesn't mean that it is actually based on facts. So
absolutely, but you know, we've seen the trend in the past where some of these initiatives. Let's go back to so many agricultural initiatives they've done in the past. What has been the impact? Who are the beneficiaries? Let them come out and tell us. So let's even leave the issue of, you know, what's the economic impact in terms of significance. Nigerian youth need more than this, far more than this. You know, we need things that will make Nigerian youth innovative and truly entrepreneurial in mindsets. You know, we have brilliant young people out there, but they are being frustrated by so many factors, economic factors, social setbacks, and also looking at the menace in the society. So I think we should target on more pragmatic issues for the youth that will help them to create more values, you know, and put their ideas to use.
But if you look at it, transportation is very key in any economy. You go to anywhere in the world, most of the governments, you know, subsidize transportation. You know, billions of dollars are being expended by the like of China, the like of United States and United Kingdom, etc. So what Nigeria is doing, according to the federal government, is to ensure that we have a look away from the dominance of the petrol that we use, you know, to fuel our vehicles. Because I saw some videos, I think from Edo State, of some commercial buses drivers who said that they were used to buying fuel an average of 50,000, 55,000 naira a day for them to, you know, carry out their businesses. But now with the CNG conversion, they are able to buy CNG maybe 15,000, 25,000 naira. But you said it's not really significant. Do you not think that if you're having to pay half of what we're used to buying in a day is something for you to marry over?
Yeah, absolutely. I still maintain that it's not significant. You know, when I look at it at the broad picture. But when you're looking at individuals doing this, yes, but again, there are so many other factors we should consider, you know, with this. Let me tell you a little bit about what UK is doing. UK has 50 years plan, you know, to go into this CNG. Nigeria also has that roadmap, clearly. But let's also ask ourselves, we're in an environment that whenever things go down in terms of price, they don't come, go up, they don't come down. Now, using CNG is very laudable, and if you don't mind, you know, I have personally, you know, in the past did some work on this. Nigeria has over 11 to 17 million vehicles on the road every day. Over 11 to 17 million. Let's put it
across the nation.
Across the nation, moving. And in terms of fuel consumption, petrol, this time around, you know, about 92%, you know, of this consume, you know, PMS. Now, coming to CNG, most people are not even aware of this CNG first. And I think, yes, it's a very good way to go. It will reduce the cost of fueling and all that. But does it reduce cost of transportation? That's a question we should ask ourselves. These people using the CNG, they're still going to charge the same rate as people using PMS. So if you now look at the gap, I mean, that's why I said, what's really the significance?
Okay, so if that's your worry, that's a fair, sorry, Veronica. If the federal government is assisting you to convert your vehicle to be using CNG, do you not feel that it is very incumbent upon them to ensure that their pricing will be different? You know, maybe by taxing their what's it called? Their leaders, their road union, you know, leaders, to put the insignia on their vehicles so that their pricing will be different from those who are using petrol.
That's the right way to go. But between you and I, monitoring and evaluation is a big problem in Nigeria. It's a big problem in the sense that, you know, once people see channels or opportunities along a value chain, they throw their face away from whatever the issue is, the real issues are, and exploit. So if we have these things, what you have said is quite very wonderful if we really monitor. Unfortunately, you know, we are in a system whereby, I mean, come to think of it, at the end of the day, people will complain to you. And some people that are using PMS will also feel like, oh, if I join these guys, I also make I mean, and so I think it comes down to our national psyche, you know, trying to take profit and advantage as much as we can get.
I'm saying also this matter from another perspective, the matter of inflation, because these people will tell you, even if we are making our prices lower than the others who are still using PMS to fuel their vehicles, when we go to the market to do any other thing, because PMS, the price of PMS affects inflation in terms of the price of goods and services and all, and our inflation is still high up there. The prices we get other items that we survive on is still very high. So how do we balance life? How do we balance all of these matters when we are still talking about high inflation rate and then this matter? We're still trying to drive at ensuring that people are stable and, you know, they have something.
You see, thank you for mentioning inflation. We are in a very dynamic environment that you can predict less now. I mean, even if you have all the data, you can predict less in the sense that there are so many other factors that will just take you by surprises. Now, if we are looking at this CNG project, yes, good, if we can sustain it. You know,
you have concerns about sustainability?
I have concern about it. You see,
is it exactly?
When it comes to things like this, after some times, you see that, you know, it's just initial noise. After some times, the whole thing will go down. Yeah, we've seen it in the past.
I'd rather we not use that word.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But I'm just telling you what I have observed over time. This is my own personal opinion. There was a time that we had all these, you know, buses, CNG buses, you know, even here in Lagos. And we have them around. At some point, I observed that this thing is going out. Are we having another tranche and all that? So I'm always concerned about sustainability of ideas. It's not a bad thing to have good ideas, but we should have sustainability plan around them. The world all over, people are moving away from combustible engine from fossil fuel to, you know, coming to clean energy. That is what the world is going to. So we should encourage that. There should be incentives. This industry should spread across. You know, I've had people that, you know, we've had this conversation. I've even personally worked with people for this project. How can we convert our combustible engines to electronic, you know, vehicles and all that? But, you know, we come to a point where, you know, few of these people that I discussed with have challenges with funding, you know, with regulatory issues, getting certain licenses. But I won't say the government is not trying, don't get me wrong, but we need a system where people can, you know, where people can trust that if I bring this idea on the table, I can be supported. Then again, our credit, you know, science in this country is something also that brings fear when people want to access funds to do some of this project. So it's so many things happening at the same time. But I strongly believe, I'm positive, despite what is happening now, that since this idea is coming up, one day, somewhere, somehow, this thing will grow more than this.
So what do you consider the limitations? So the reason why we used to have CNG initiative and then it fizzled away, and now looks like the federal government is coming all out, because what the economic situation now is quite probably different than the time you were referring to. Do you see genuineness in pushing this to the people, especially when the president told the ministers, his ministers, that they're not really talking much. They are not giving out much information about what they're doing as an administration. Do you feel this boils down to preparedness and ability to communicate your initiatives to the people?
Absolutely, and thank you for that. You see, I've worked with a few governments, you know, institutions. They have fantastic ideas, plan. You know, if you check the strategic plan of so many ministries, even state government, fantastic on paper. I will also tell you that there's something we call National Implementation Plan for Nigeria. Apart from having the National Development Plan 2025, we have the National Implementation Plan, we have Nigeria Agenda 2050. These are documents that are there. You know, before we don't have this implementation plan, and I'll give a very big credit to this administration that apart from having the plan, there is implementation plan. But again, you mentioned something that is very critical. Most of these ministers, most of these government parastatals, they don't go out to communicate these things. Most people are not even aware of that some opportunities exist with government. So it's just the government and the real users of government initiatives. They are apart in terms of information. So let something bring them together and let there be a kind of roundtable engagement. The level of engagement, I mean, it's a big issue. When these ideas are being sold out to people, I'll tell you, people take advantage, they use them and all that. But of course, most times you get some of these things being done, they are just kept somewhere in documents and everybody just forget about it. And that comes down to the concern I have about sustainability.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they are not speaking about it.
Most times.
So you think that perhaps they are trying to avoid pressure from the populace who might want to take advantage and they are not pushing as much. Is that what you see, or what really?
Yeah, that's a bit. But you see, at times when some of these things come out and people are aware of it, we also have what we call policy somersault around them.
Right.
At times, it's just like saying, this initiative is out. This what we have now. It's a very wonderful one. But tomorrow, I'm just afraid of government coming out to say, let us extend to so many other states. I see people politicizing it.
Right.
Yeah, let's
politics.
bring it. Yeah, let's play politics around it. Let it come to my party. Don't let it go to some other people. You see, the president is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not any party.
Isn't that where the office of the citizen comes, where you begin to put pressure on government to say you don't have to politicize this matter, and we take our space as citizens to ensure that every person takes advantage and that it is not politicized?
Absolutely. But I'll tell you, politics is one of the things that move Nigeria apart. It's a game of interest. So when it comes to a point where, the office of the citizen are pushing for certain things, we're easily divided, where some people see differently and they don't appreciate the differences in bringing ideas together. Yeah, your idea may be different from mine, but we should always find a connecting point. But unfortunately, if I have a particular mindset in terms of my political orientation, I start seeing you differently. I start seeing you as a political element, not a Nigerian. And that is where division comes in. I will rather plead to the government that, yes, there should be more engagement with the citizen, and also allow individuals to also come up, and bring up their ideas. There is need for more engagement of the private sector stakeholders. Sincerely, there is need for engagement.
Interesting stuff. The president, during his speech, actually read out some of the gains of this administration and what they're doing to shore up the strength of this economy. But then it looks like what we're experiencing so far has been the increase in food inflation. Food has actually been driving this inflation really high up. Veronica mentioned one thing, because when I asked about the CNG being cost effective, and then do you feel that it is better that they prioritize converting some of these large vehicles, that bring food from different states to the southwest and from the southwest to other places, for easy mobility? Do you think it is very sacrosanct? Yeah,
inflation, food inflation.
They actually convert most of these vehicles so as to bring down the food inflation, because they always complain about, yes, the cost of bringing the goods and all of that, and then all of the checkpoints where they have different boys or different security agencies extorting money from them. What do you see is this?
Yeah, thank you for that, and I love that aspect. You see, the cost of food in Nigeria now, if you look at the indicators that lead to the high price of food, transportation is a major factor. Permit me to say that I do this business. When I say do this, I buy some things from the north down here, for my family and friends and all that. I discovered that the prices, the farm gate prices, have not significantly changed over those locations. Yes, but the cost of transport has now become something I have to worry about. If I have to buy, it may be at the same price. In fact, there's just a slight change, not maybe more than 5 or 10%, because of their own complaint to, Nigerian thing. But coming down to the fact that the cost of transport, if I have to send, let's say, 10 kilogram items for 10,000 naira before, now I pay about 50,000 naira, just to bring those items.
Transportation.
And you mentioned something very, very critical, and I think government should work on that. This CNG, initiative should be, given much more to these people, because they play very pivotal role when it comes to easing our the prices of items here. Now, apart from that, you see these people who stop them by the road, they have also one way or the other become a big problem to these people. Instead of your food items coming in a day or two, you see them coming in 3-4 days, and they complain. Some people stop us. The issue of insecurity is also another thing. Some of them don't move, at night like it used to be. They move during the day because of safety. So I think if these issues are being addressed alongside,
that's right.
Yeah, I sincerely believe that it will ease prices of food.
But let's get back to the matter of the youth, because they are at the heart of this matter, addressing unemployment. And the president in his speech talked about the fact that there was going to be a confab for the youth. And perhaps he said they were going to talk on issues that will help them build their future. They are the architects of their future, and so should be part of the building process. And now this is one of the issues I believe should be at the front burner, aside the matter of education and all of it that the president is talking about. But the concern is, how do we have such a holistic conversation and representation for the youth? Now, you talked about the fact that this may not get to the persons who need it, and that's critical, because you said they are being frustrated because some things that the government perhaps is putting in place is not getting to them. How do you want them to perhaps position this conversation in such a way that the bottlenecks on the way to them getting what is necessary for them is removed?
Okay, thank you very much. If you look at the geopolitical zones in Nigeria, we have the Arewa youth, we have the Afenifere youth, we have the Indigo youths and all that, without any tribal divide. One of the ways to really make this successful is to call stakeholders and representatives from these geopolitical zones to come to the table without thinking of the benefit of the zone alone, thinking of the benefit for the entire nation. And one thing that I want to quickly say is that if we want this to make the right impact, government should have a system or methodology in place to identify the real beneficiaries of their initiatives and bring them to the table to discuss with them. There should be what I call a one-stop shop where youths in Nigeria will be able to engage government like a platform, throw in their ideas, see how this can help them, so that people with genuine needs can be assessed and helped. There are a lot of times I discuss with young men. In technology, it will beat your mind to know that lots of Nigerians are very brilliant when it comes to this. When it comes to agriculture, you see fantastic Nigerians youth who are ready to go into agriculture and do quite a lot. So I think government should identify these people, especially again in the rural areas. So we don't make it a city affairs. Let's have representative in all those places, spread those ideas there. And I tell you, it will go a very long way. We have initiative in my hometown where we bring youth together. We have training for them. We train them and we also empower them. Once you go through agricultural training for some time, we empower you. And we say that, but we monitor you as well. So you don't turn it to like, oh, it's my thing, I can mess it up. No. So I think that system, I believe, works.
And it's yielding the desired result.
Absolutely.
So if you look at employability, it's one thing for us to have teeming large population of youth. It's another thing for us to have youths that are quite employable. But the fact that these CNG tricycles were assembled locally in Shagamu here in Lagos, there in Ogun State, points to the possibility of reviving Nigeria's manufacturing sector. So I want you to speak to the kind of policies that we can bring on board to further entrench, or strengthen such industrial activities, so that we'll have more youths that will be, employed doing this within the country.
Thank you very much. I think we should have first policy around incentives for youth who want to go into these kind of things. And when I mean incentive, the policy will be you have an idea, you want to do this. No, there are certain incentives that should go to the youth in terms of policy. I'm so happy that this is locally made. I'm very, very happy. We can replicate the same thing. Maybe it's another thing we should put in the policy across these geopolitical zones where people will have access to this. And beyond this also, we should look at the value chains. There should be policies around the value chains. Now, the value chains in terms of this, the transport system, the monitoring, and also ensuring that, there are access to capital. One of the things, agenda that this government has is access to capital, at a single digit. I know our Bank of Industry is doing quite a lot in that area. And I sincerely also believe that there should be policy, a credit policy that will support this, a viable, sustainable, and workable policy that will work around this. And ultimately also, we should have youth agenda. We have National Development Plan 2025, Nigerian agenda. We should have youth roadmap also. Things that should impact the youth in the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
Probably that's what the confab might.
Yes, that's what the confab might, hopefully, might address. Yeah. But we have all of this agenda, like you have mentioned. But how have we implemented most of this, agenda to achieve the results, the desired result at the end of the day? So wouldn't that also go in that light?
Yeah, but something is changing, which I've observed. In the government before, like I told you, we have plan, but no implementation plan. Apart from implementation plan now, there is evaluation, there is consistent evaluation of so many of these initiatives and plans. Many government parastatals, they have deliverables from the president. Between the 1st and 6th of November 2023, every minister and permanent secretary signed performance bond with Mr. President. Now, they thought it was just going to be just as usual, but no. We have Adeza Bala, the head of Central Delivery and Coordinating Unit. She goes around to make sure that things are being done and results are being obtained to report people in terms of performance. So it's not like before where we have the plan, we just dump it, but there are results now where you have to account for what you have signed to achieve. And it's working. But again, the workings are just, they are hitting the right spots. I'll give that to the CDCU, that's the Central Delivery and Coordinating Unit, but there are quite a lot of things to still do. I believe they're achieving results.
Okay, and that will be a fine place to leave this conversation. We must thank you so much for your time on the program this morning. Like you have rightly pointed, there's so much still needing attention by the government. So thank you once again, MD CEO of Exiton Consulting Limited, Adeyemi Ajayi, for your time on the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we take a break. When we return, we'll bring you the news.